It's Wednesday on Jasiri, and today we're talking about the truth, the kind that shapes lives and builds nations, and sometimes destroys reputations. On a recent episode of Jasiri, we took the story of a man accused of molesting his two young daughters in Enugu. Now we have a shocking update to that story. And later on the show, we turn to another kind of truth, one that begins in the classroom. We'll be joined by Dr. Ronke Posh Adeniyi, director of the Poshe School and founder of the Rooted movement, to talk about how our education system may be quietly recolonizing our children, not with chains, but with curriculum. She's calling for a rooted generation, children grounded in their identity, their history, and their culture. From truth that is weaponized to truth that liberates. It's a powerful Wednesday on Jasiri today. But first,
on Jasiri.
Yeah. All right. And of course, as Judy said, when is it never powerful? And thankfully, that power is being rewarded. Because we start the show with some great news today. Jasiri has won the Best Education Documentary TV show category at the upcoming Prestige Africa Education Awards. Now, in their letter to us, which you can see, they said that, quote, "Your recognition as a winner is a testament to the outstanding impact your production has made in highlighting educational challenges, innovations, and inspiring human interest stories across Africa's learning landscape. Through the power of creative storytelling, your work has become a true catalyst for change, driving awareness, fostering dialogue, and shining a light on the narratives that shape the future of African education." Ladies, congratulations!
That is so true. I love when they nominate you for awards and it's like, okay, that's good.
Yeah.
But
But
this
when you
is
win,
actually true to what we do.
Yes.
Because
Well
we
done.
do champion the cause of education and we've done a lot of stories.
I think we're like dogs
amplified
with bones when it comes to education.
Congratulations to us.
And you know, that thing we say about, we talk about everything. So as much as sometimes you might see us gist and laugh, we talk about everything on this table. Even issues that sometimes are not our business, like men, bisexual,
Men is our business,
men becoming better, raising the boy child. Then we also challenge women as well. So as in, there's really nothing that has been off limits on this table in the past, I think, year and a half. We're going into the we'll be entering the third year of Jasiri in January of 2026.
Cool.
It's been an event for almost 2 years, ladies.
Oh yeah, we're toddlers now.
Congratulations to you, ladies.
Thank you.
Congratulations. I mean, it's a testimony of the passion that's on this table and also the care. I'm one of the few who's privileged to watch you guys behind the scenes and see how intentional you are about these issues and how affected you are about these issues, right? So it's not necessarily about the plaques and the awards, but really there's a passion behind it and there's a need for change and for these discussions to come to the fore for every single one of you. And so, I mean, I'm not always at the table, but I'm always in the makeup room.
I almost said something.
You guys are very concerned about it, you know. And
I actually did see Mrs. Fashola over the weekend, and she said, "Oh my God, the show that you guys did, that one of you walked off this." She said, "Nigeria affects all of us."
Yeah,
it was touching. I know how this thing. I'm like, oh, you watch us?
There are lots of people who watch us. I actually have an auntie who was in a bank yesterday, and the next thing we're on air, she says, "I'm seeing you inside the bank." I said, tell me. So to everyone, absolutely everyone who's out there, who's been pulling for us since day one, who watches us, we say a very big thank you. And I also want to send a very special shout out to people like Dr. Joy Issa, to our guest,
Mojid Alabi.
Yes, Mojid Alabi. There's no way I have to say this and I can't remember Mojid Alabi. We have had consistent guests who anytime we call, they answer when it comes to the issue of education. And we don't just talk about it when it's a strike. We don't just talk about it when it's something like that. We're constantly having these conversations almost every other week. And so thank you to Dr. Joyce, Mojid Alabi. Thank you for your work as well. Thank you to all the people, like even the Calabash story. It was from a colleague of mine that shared that story about what students at Unical in dentistry and medicine were going through, and then we blew it up. And that's what we're here to do. We'll give you good times. We'll give you great laughs. We'll give you vibes, but we will do the work that needs to be done. Yeah.
At least thank God Tolu is back to a normal self. You know?
What do you mean?
The hair.
Contain. Well, I mean, I wish we could continue with the congratulations and the celebrations, but unfortunately we have to switch from a celebratory note to a very sad note. And this time it's a troubling update on a story that was discussed last week on this table. On Tuesday, news broke that a woman in Enugu had been arraigned, before a magistrate court for allegedly defaming her husband, Ozioma Okonkwo, and giving false information to the police after accusing him of sexually assaulting their 2 young daughters. Police say 29-year-old Chisom Okonkwo publicly accused her husband of defilement, an act they claim exposed him to, quote, hatred, contempt, and ridicule, damaging his reputation. Mr. Okonkwo was arrested on October 25, 2025, after the accusation, but later released when medical examinations found no evidence of abuse. 2 days later, police charged Mrs. Okonkwo with giving false information to detectives at the State Intelligence Department, SID, a charge punishable under Section 154 1A and B of the Criminal Code of Enugu State. She also faces a separate count of defamation contrary to Section 323 and punishable under Section 325 of the same code. The story has left many Nigerians divided, whether on social media or on our common spaces, and some see a woman whose pain might have pushed her to act rashly. Others see a man whose name may never recover from the weight of an accusation that proved untrue. But beyond the headlines, this case reopens a difficult conversation. How do we protect survivors while ensuring justice for those wrongly accused? Before we dive into this, let's just quickly take some reactions to see how people are taking this story as we roll the clips there from X. Now, this one here is from @Amebo, and that's Dixon the Great. Now, imagine the damage of his personality and image. Reading the comments from people then is really heartbreaking now. I hope he finds justice. Men are not monsters. Ask and verify before you conclude. All right.
It was wrong to lie. He probably deserves it. Women don't just go mad for no reasons. What did he do? However, she went too far. He should forgive and forgive for the sake of his children. It's a marital rift. They shouldn't make a fuss about it. Even me, I'm in shock. If the society agrees that rape is a serious crime, then knowingly making a false rape accusation should also carry a serious penalty because it destroys lives, reputations, and trust in real victims. The punishment for false rape accusations should be greater. What a gut-wrenching story. False accusations like this can ruin a family's reputation in an instant. Nigerian defamation law requires a false statement, publication to a third party, and resulting harm, which is exactly what the court is now addressing by charging the mother. To everyone saying you all judged him, know this: I'll never stand up for a man accused of raping minors. I don't care if he's guilty or not. Once he proves himself innocent, I'll apologize to him. As a father of 2 young daughters, I'll never bring myself to defend anyone accused of raping kids. You can take that whichever way you want. If it happens to me, don't stand up for me too.
Aura for aura.
Many times in the heat of marital problems, some partners use false accusations as a weapon to destroy the other person's reputation. It's painful because such crimes can ruin lives and families before the truth comes out. Not every accusation is true.
No.
And that's the last one.
It's a lot to take in.
I don't care what family issues you have. You should not be that desperate to form an imaginary list of things that your partner didn't do, and then you are pushing it to people that your partner did. I have an issue with that. It's not that deep. If you can sit down and think to put somebody that you promised to honor, to love, to live with, to whatever, do this life with, and yet you can drag him down there just because he had a bad day? Or just because, if he did something that you didn't like, you could have just called him. Let's have a conversation about it. Which one is putting him out there?
She lied to police.
The heat of
You sat
times
in a police station and gave a false.
Do you understand? If it were in the era of jungle justice,
Oh my God!
that guy would have
Don't
been
go there.
gone.
You know, I am an advocate for women, and of course, where children are involved, of course, we are all sensitive because they are minors. They cannot speak for themselves.
Right.
But you see, when it comes to a home, a husband and a wife, it becomes more precarious for me because you do know this person. So if you're making the weight of rape is so heavy.
But
before
is it actually so heavy?
It is
in
heavy.
Nigeria.
In Nigeria,
Because how many people, I'm so sorry to interrupt you, because I want to make that point. How many people in this country have been accused of rape and there has not even been an investigation? So is the weight of a rape accusation as heavy as we would actually like to think it is?
Yeah, but the fact that we are even speaking about it, Tolu, some years ago, rape is something that was swept under the carpet. We won't even have the opportunity to talk about it publicly.
And people
if
take
you
it as
even go to the
seriously,
police
yes,
station,
okay.
they would just shush you and push you to the side. It's something they feel that you should be ashamed of for even speaking about it. So I want to say that we have even made giant strides in this advocacy that we can publicly speak and say, yes, rape, say it and describe it and let it be told. But you know, for a man, when rape is, somebody is being accused of raping someone, you know the way the society is formed. A man it becomes like something, he can lose his job. If he works with someone like me, I will sack you immediately.
Right.
Before you even, so the damage to the reputation is always deep. And Yoruba will have one say that, and Tobago, the people that here come are not the ones that heard go.
Yeah.
So that means some people can actually take the impression with them forever, not knowing that, oh, things changed.
Right.
And I want to commend the police that they did do an investigation that they should do normally. Any rape case that is brought to the police station, I really want to appeal to them. Investigate first. If they are not investigated and checked out these children, but look at it on another flip side. How about if these children were being abused and it wasn't him? And they found
signs of abuse.
Signs of abuse.
But
It's because the children were not abused at all.
Right.
That is what exonerated this man.
But also, I think that, away from the accusations, I also think that the mother should be, the guardianship of the child should be revoked from the mother as well. Just because you're using your children as a pawn for power, as a power play for her, that's a person that isn't fit to be a mother, I'm sorry. And I think that as they are doing the defamation case, I think that the social works department should come into play to see whether or not she's fit to be a mother. Because when you start to use your child as a pawn at a toddler age to defame the father of that child, and if you now go deeper and investigate and realize that not only has he been paying the bills and providing, but he's also been present as a father, and you do this, that's very clear that you do not care about being a mother to the children. You care about getting your own ways. And if they grow older, only heavens knows what this woman is capable of. So I think she should be, that's how I see it. I mean, you guys
I agree with you 100%. Because you can use your children as power play. And that means this woman, and the children are watching. You know, most of the things that we do as parents, we think that is what we say. Do you know that if you lie around your children,
because you're teaching
they
them,
will learn
not fit
how
to be a mother.
do the same. So imagine this kind of children. It's so easy for them to accuse people of things that are not real to them.
Whatever marital issues that you have with your husband, I remember as a kid, or even, growing up, right? You never know what's going on within your parents. And they say they discuss their matter in the middle of the night. We lived in a one-bedroom apartment. You only hear them, and you're lying on the floor and hearing them talk about it. You never hear your parents having issues. Like, you don't hear them thrash it out.
No. Yeah.
The only time I finally was being brought into my parents' matter was when I was I was past 2300 level, and my mom says, I want to report your father. I was like, no, I am not equipped for this conversation. You know what I mean? And that's how we were raised, And I know there are many persons as well who are watching and also knew that the parent, whatever it is that's going on, their elders that they would bring in, a third party, whether you're a pastor, whether you're a imam, whether your uncles or auntie or somebody who stayed to mediate the marriage talks, who would be there to bring your children and go as far as to defame the father and accuse him for something so horrible. So inhumane, that just means that you're not fit to be a mother. Revoke the guardianship from
In
the mother.
street parlance,
That's what I
that
feel.
person fit kill you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That
so
woman
I
fit
fear
kill
for
you.
them.
You do
Even when
more
you
than
say
that.
revoke the rights of the mother, you know, I don't know
Something
what the
has
state
to-
of fostering in Nigeria. Do we even have a system like that?
Foster. We actually. So
foster system,
I know in
because
Lagos.
there are so many
Lagos
things
does
that
have a foster care system.
We need to know a little more about.
yeah,
If it wasn't
so
that we
that-
started talking about adoption, a lot of people didn't even know the A to Z of doing all these things. They just have a head knowledge of how it is done. There are proper channels to follow when it comes to some of these things. And I really think that they need to advocate or speak more about what is obtainable. I don't mean just taking your children to the delinquent center or the delinquent home. I mean proper homes, fostering families, if it is done, how it is done, who is doing it, so that we can even have, you know, some kind of knowledge.
Yeah.
So I agree on the punishment for the false accusations, but knowing how long it often takes for victims to get any form of justice, I want us to, I'm not saying temper mercy, no. I just want us to, in this conversation, remember that, because I've been seeing all this conversation on social media, false accusations do not make up the bulk. They don't make up 50%. They don't make up 60%. They don't make up 70%.
Right.
False accusations are barely 5%. It's not to say that less than 5% doesn't deserve
Lula,
to be cleared. So false
where are you
accusations
going
make
with
up less than 5% of what?
Yes.
The majority of victims never get their...
Justice.
They never get justice. They never get their situations investigated.
Yeah.
So this is almost like a one-off situation, but it doesn't mean he doesn't deserve justice. He deserves justice.
Right.
She deserves punishment. But I also want us to look at what some of the punishment across the country is. In some places, Lagos State actually prescribes up to life imprisonment for making a false accusation of rape. If such an life, up to life. If such an accusation is made under oath, it may constitute perjury, which is punishable by up to 14 years imprisonment under Section 118 of the Criminal Code Act. So I think there's a larger conversation.
Yeah.
I'm very happy that this man was able to get justice and
Vindicated?
clear,
Yes.
because what he said was that he asked for a lawyer before he even spoke to the police, which is something I
He's a
advocate.
smart man.
Yes.
Do not talk,
He's a
even
smart
if you're
man.
innocent.
Yes.
Ask for your lawyer. Do not talk to the police without a lawyer. If they invite you, go with a lawyer.
He's a
Don't
smart
go. I
man.
just want to clear it up.
Yeah.
Always go with a lawyer.
Yeah.
I have 3 lawyers in my family. Don't try me.
that's right.
I've told one national newspaper I'll sue
Yes,
you.
so-
We reach settlement. I don't play with, so that's and because I know I don't play with my name and reputation. I can understand. So I think we have to have a larger conversation, because people who work in this space will tell you that oftentimes victims don't get justice.
Yes.
The cases don't get they don't get investigated, and even when the sentences are handed down, it almost feels paltry compared to the weight of the harm. So I think this is a larger conversation. We will pick it up. Because remember I told you, like, guys, last week, I was reluctant to even take the story then, but it was when the police officially came out. That's why I said, fine, let's take the story. And I said, if we took it last week, we must take this update and we must open the conversation on this. And that's what we've done.
I wish, that punishment needs to be very severe and fast, because we know that...
So should the one for those who are guilty.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because if this goes and finally is indeed found guilty and she's punished, something's going to happen and it's going to switch. And those are those who are apologists of pedophiles. They would now always
reference this case. So that's what the data says. The
Yeah.
data says oftentimes the false accusations are held up as reason for not believing women. You know, they say believe all women.
Yeah.
I have my issues with that. But aside from believe all women and the issues around the judgment, what you find is that the kind of publicity and attention false cases like this often get often means that victims of real crimes don't come forward. This is such a multi-layered conversation.
I know that this time we have to walk gingerly, truly. Because I have seen children who lie too.
They coached to lie.
Oh yeah,
or hold a grudge for some reason.
So you have to be. That's why the power of investigation.
I remember
it's a whole
young
different
kid
conversation,
who,
and I'm hoping that one day we'll get to sit down and turn it page by page on Jasiri, because that's what we do.
Right.
We are stubborn with things like this, and we keep pushing until we see the light at the end of the tunnel. But for now, we say education empowers, but what if it's also quietly erasing us? What happens when education forgets who it's meant to serve? After the break, we'll talk about how the lessons we teach and the ones we leave out are shaping how our children see themselves, their culture, and of course their worth. Dr. Ronke Adeniyi, director of Ronke Posh School and founder Rooted Movement, joins us for an interesting conversation. Stay with us.
And welcome back. It's Jasiri here. It's time for us to focus on education. It's pretty much our focus today. And it's supposed to be the tool that opens the mind. But what happens when it quietly erases who we are? Today on Jasiri, we're having a conversation that every parent, teacher, and policymaker needs to hear. It's about our children, our identity, and the invisible ways we may be raising a generation disconnected from itself. Our guest is Dr. Ronke Posh Adeniyi. She's the director of La Posh School and founder of the Rooted Movement, a voice challenging the very foundation of how we educate our children. In a viral advocacy piece on News Central's A Place at the Table, she makes a striking statement, and I quote, "Our children are being colonized again, not by ships on our shores, but by the curriculum we teach, the stories we celebrate, and the silence we maintain about our own heritage," end quote. Dr. Adeniyi argues that the classroom has become the new battleground for identity, that what we teach and how we teach it shapes not just what our children know, but who they believe they are. And if we continue to raise children who see themselves only through a Western lens, we risk creating a generation that knows everything about the world, but very little about home. So, how do we build a curriculum that balances global knowledge with local wisdom? And how do we make sure that the next generation of African children grow up confident in their own names, their languages, and stories, not as imitators, but as innovators? Dr. Adeniyi is right here on the table. Doctor, welcome to Jasiri.
Thank you. Nice
Good
introduction.
morning.
so much energy.
All right, so energy keeps going strong. So, Dr. Adeniyi, you used a very strong phrase during your advocacy on A Place at the Table. Now, you said our children are being colonized again. What was the turning point that made you realize that this wasn't just theory, but a lived reality?
Okay, I'm not sure what the actual turning point was, but I know that a lot of our children don't actually want to identify as black people.
What?
A lot of our children don't even know that they are black. Now, after publishing the book, I did some research, and some parents told me that their children said that they're not black.
What are they?
That's because the understanding is not even there. So if a child is light-skinned, maybe a little bit fair, they don't think they are black people. Do you understand that? So a 7-year-old can say, "I'm not black."
Please, what are you? Are you paint?
Then they'll tell me that they're fair, they're brown. So that knowledge is not even being transferred. So I decided to write a book about children. My daughter went abroad a few years ago, and she told me about something called BRAPS. And I said, which one is BRAPS again? British-raised African people. British-raised African people. Okay. So if you give birth to your child in the UK, and so your child is British-raised African people. So those ones are superior in their minds to those ones are Japa. Because those ones are Japa, they smell funny, they talk funny, they look funny.
They smell funny.
Yeah, they're different. They're not like the ones that are British-born. So I just thought, this thing is... I'm even out of breath. Exactly.
Let her land.
Exactly. So these things started happening. They don't want to identify with their names and stuff like that. They will go and eat Indian food. They will eat biryani and stuff like that. But they'll say that ogbono is smelling and all our own food is smelling. You know, their names. My daughter was still telling me on recent time that she met a girl called Ori. And she said, "Oh, wow." She said, "Your name is unusual." Because my daughter was saying, "This one looks like Nigeria to me." So I said, "Are you by any chance Nigerian?" I said, "Is your name Oreolu?" I said, "Yes." So which one is Ori again? How is Chukwudi Didi? A boy. How? How is it?
Chukwudi is Didi.
He's Didi. Yeah, and he's a boy.
All right. Back in secondary school, there was a kid who was transferred from the US, and she had this ideology. But unfortunately, our school was in Shagamu at the time. You know what I mean? Like it was right in the thick of it. So she came in. I was like, "What's your name?" She said, "Ola." And a senior just turned and said, "Ola." What's she say your name is again? That one has an accent. She goes, "Ola." She goes, "Olamide." Are you joking? Get up. I was like, yeah. The one time I supported bullying.
You know, but we need to really critically consider this, because I do know that the way she even put it, it was just too well put. I keep telling people, I was just thinking of it through this Japa movement that is decolonizing, acculturizing our children and the next generation. That was how I was thinking about it. And when this came
It's
up,
even before the Jackma. Think about what we teach in the schools. The schools don't even teach history. We are forcing schools to teach history. And when they do teach history, they're teaching American history, British history. They're not teaching... They're teaching... And if they do struggle to teach the Nigerian history, it's so undiluted, it's not enough to keep a child rooted. So we don't have a lot... Our children don't know what to be proud of. So automatically, there's a proximity to whiteness. I must be white. I must sound white. I must look white for me to be enough. So we find that even when they go abroad, the self-esteem is not even there. The confidence is not there until they want to act white. And every time I go around women, even if we look at this our table now, unconsciously it is there because we are all wearing wigs. The wig is not the African woman's, you know what I'm saying?
On this show, at least we braid our hair. She had braids last week.
No, but you know what I'm talking about. There are women that will not go out if they don't carry a wig. They cannot carry their natural hair. Can't shade all back and say they're going out. Flat shuku.
Don't try. Do it. Come on now.
This nicely laid hair. You don't want to do that. You know, but what I mean is that we become slaves to the wig. Now, in the curriculum, what are we teaching the children? We're teaching them that Jack and Jill went up the hill. Who is Jack? Who is Jill? Who is Jack? Who is Jill? We're telling them that London Bridge is falling down. Where is London Bridge in Nigeria? We don't want to talk about Ali and Simbi. We don't want to talk about Anansi. No, we don't want that one. We want to talk about anything that is foreign. So we are doing it in the classroom. We don't know that we are actually doing it in the classroom. From our curriculum, from the things that we teach our children, the examples that we give them. You know, if you go to a school and you tell them that they should greet you, Eka Aro, in Akwana, or Tutuama, they will say, oh, it's just so local. So it's right. And everything we call local is what makes us who we are.
We're teaching them French. We're teaching them
Mandarin. We're teaching them other languages, but we don't want to teach the Nigerian language. However, the Chinese people are coming to Nigeria and they are learning our language. They are saying something that we are not seeing it.
You know, some might say that, you know, exposure, because we want to be accepted in the global world. They say exposure to Western education is still part of globalization. That okay, we want to be seen in the economy
as a global citizen,
that we are in sync. But where do we now draw the line? Because many of us will say between global awareness and cultural erasure, does exposure even have to lead to erasure? Because most of our curriculum, let's be fair, we say we use British curriculum, American curriculum,
Singapore,
whatever curriculum that is existing. Do we really have a truly African curriculum?
And that's the problem. That's the problem. We have a Nigerian curriculum, but we are so intelligent in Nigeria. You see what we do all around the world. However, we cannot get together and have an African curriculum. We've just revised the Nigerian curriculum, and we're forcing schools to do history. Yes. They don't want to do history.
But what's in the history now?
What is in the history?
To students.
I mean, they have some heroes. I mean, at elementary level, they have some heroes and things like that. But when you really talk, because I didn't do history. And I think that's part of my beef. Not once, in any school. I did not do history. Anything I know about history, I learned as an adult. I'm a student. Every day I'm reading something about history, whether I'm reading it physically, whether I'm on YouTube, because it gives me power. I realize that, oh, wow, did they do this to us? Did they really treat us this way? Did they really send us to school to only have certain jobs that would serve and build their own legacy and economies? We were not, when the colonizers did not send us to school to be critical thinkers, to be great communicators. They didn't teach us that. They were teaching us to serve them in their factories, in their organizations. But we don't know that. When we don't know that, we will continue to want to be like them. But it is now called neo-colonialism. Because what is happening is that they know. Their education was so powerful that we are still slaves to them right now. Now you will see that there are schools coming from other countries, setting up in Nigeria, not teaching history. We are praising them because they're speaking Fune. Before we know what's happening, we are slaves again. We can't set ourselves free. We should be putting pressure on the government right now. But no, we are saying Donald Trump to come and save us because it is a programming.
When my children were in primary school, I remember the bit of the history that they did, primary into secondary, was the history of Ghana and Upper Volta, Mansa Musa, Mali. Those were, and now
ask a typical child, who is Mansa Musa? They'll be looking at you.
You get Mansa Musa is, they began to cram it. Mansa Musa is the leader in the something. But now that you talk about it, I don't remember learning anything history except the Macpherson Constitution and Clifford Constitution.
You even tried. I didn't learn anything.
Political science and civil education.
I didn't learn anything in history.
I did.
I was given an option: literature, history.
So I think that is where we're getting some of this wrong. Certain things should not be an option. You need to learn another Nigerian language other than the language that is spoken at home. Whatever language your parents speak at home, let's not even say where you're from, because people are in different parts of this country. Whatever language your parents speak at home, you need to learn a separate one in school. You need to. Judith, do you know that we don't even have to speak English? I hope you know that. Yes.
But we feel the need that we must speak English.
So no, but we're saying that English is the global language, is the language of global business.
And I think
take that to China and see what they will tell you.
No, that's, and I agree. Mandarin is taking over.
Right, but again, I think it's capitalism when you think about it, right? In my own humble opinion, right? English itself, was a language of commerce, and you had to learn it. When you look at pre-colonial times, those who were making money out of slavery were those who could speak the white man's language. And that's why the variants of Pidgin has some sprinklings of Portuguese in them, because our first business was the Portuguese before it became British. So I think that it's capitalism. Language itself is capitalism. When you think about commerce, you have to understand language. Hence why parents, are teaching their children French or Mandarin or Korean or the likes. And so one has to talk about parents as and where they play in all of this. Are parents becoming complicit? Are schools also becoming complicit as well? I mean, your school's name is La Posh. Side eye to you, but I ain't gonna go there.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it because we have all been born into this programming. We need to uninstall it. Remember that I told you that I started this as an adult. Many years ago, you will find me in a week too. You will find me doing so. I'm installing my own programming. So I'm not coming here saying that I'm perfect, I'm this. I'm coming there to make people aware the same way that it's opened my own eyes to say that these things that we are doing in the schools is not the correct thing to do. That we can do it in a better way. So parents, yes, and the schools are the greatest agents of colonization and neo-colonization right now. Because we don't want to teach our children the history that will set them free. And we need to do that. And you're correct. It was a language of trade. It was a language of commerce, yes. But let's just apply the same thing to the Chinese people. They're not listening. If you go to China now,
you will learn Mandarin if you want to do business.
There are translators in China. There are translators in French, in English, as well as I think Spaniard in Spanish, right? So because they understand they're the world center for manufacturing, and a lot of people come there for OEMs. What they do is they will attach someone to you who can translate for them, right?
But they themselves are not.
They can't be bothered. That's what I'm saying.
That are mass producing indigenous Chinese and those who are native speakers to learn the language in a tongue that is very similar to either British or American, just so that they can do business. So they have a massive warehouse for sales, those who are, so I think commerce plays there, right? But I think there's also one thing we're not pointing out, and that's our diversity. There was an argument far back years ago when they were talking about teaching in second language and whether or not we should be teaching in schools in a second language. And many people were saying, we don't have the text for it. We don't have, my mother, my father, my late mother, God rest her soul, and even my stepmother, both of them speak different languages. My own stepmother, her father is Hausa from Kaduna State. Her mother is from Obudu. That's a different language completely. Right? My father is Obudu. My own birth mother is from Ikom Alok, another language. So
which one do you
want me to? Do you get me? So that
and you're correct. You have 250 registered languages, over 500 languages. That is valid. But you know what? Until the foreigner, the white man comes and validates something for us, we don't actually want to believe that it's good enough. And I'll tell you, and I'll apply it to what you have said.
Right.
Once upon a time, if you spoke pidgin English, you were considered bush.
Yeah.
Now, we have BBC English.
Thanks to Wazobia, ladies and gentlemen. Look at them over there.
So now that we have BBC English, you will see all sorts of people there. You will see people speaking British. Watching they talk. It's now acceptable because why? It has been endorsed by the white man. It is now okay. Now, if we want to make pidgin our language, there's no crime because we're never going to reach some children if we insist on English. Just like you mentioned, so you are mixed race, mixed tribe, very mixed. So there's some people that we will continually leave out if we insist on English. So we must know that Eyokwan is Meji. 1 + 1 = 2. Daya. We have to know because I lived in the north as well. So we have to understand that wherever we find ourselves, even if it's the 3 major languages we want to use to teach, if it's pidgin we want to use to teach, we have to make a choice, and we have to insist on it because we're never going to grow the way we can grow if we insist on this language because we have too many languages, as you rightly said, way too many languages.
You have to choose.
We have to make a choice.
Before we even go on a break.
No break, so keep going.
So my question would be that what can be the extent of the damage that can be caused? Whether it's psychological, social, for children who are not as connected to their roots or completely disconnected from their roots.
Let me tell you some stories. Do you know that suicide rate among black girls is high? I don't know the actual figure because I wasn't expecting this question, but I know that it's significantly higher amongst black girls because some of them cannot find boyfriends because they are black. Do you know that? So do you know that
anyway?
I do. Do you know that? Do you know that on social media, there are certain apps that promote a certain kind of black girl? An aesthetic. And as a result, it is causing depression and suicide amongst girls. Do you know that the typical black guy wants to go out with a white girl or a fair girl?
As the trophy.
So there's a particular girl, there's some girls that are left out as a result of them being African. Just being black and having your nappy, natural, beautiful hair, they are being left out. So the psychological effects on those children, very, very grave, because exclusion is there. And this exclusion is not necessarily even by foreigners. It is amongst ourselves. Even amongst ourselves, we have colorism.
Yes.
You are too black. You are too white. That is why we have bleaching.
Esther was black and broke.
Esther,
look at the way people are bleaching up and down. There are pills to bleach now. There's all sorts of things. There are people doing all sorts of things, going to extremes. Even babies are being bleached now. I saw a girl on social media this morning. This morning,
no names, though.
We're not naming anybody.
The baby was bleached. Maybe 6-7 years old. She was bleached. She had lace front. She even had hip pad.
So wait.
This morning, so it's not even. And they were not them saying.
The photo shoot I saw of a child that was wearing a replica of a dress that was on AMVCA's red carpet, and the kid was doing with a lace front. You people need to take your children off social media immediately.
Honestly.
Immediately. I've been saying this thing. Why are kids on social media? Why are we adultifying our children?
Do you know how many days
of consumption?
I find that extremely
disturbing.
Do you know the last time I came, I did show you a photo of a woman whose job on that social media is to put lace front on a baby that can't talk. You will see the baby drooling, crying. I should still put her between her legs and force the lace front on her head. I'm like, please advocating for children that cannot talk. Because we have a standard of beauty. We think that if your children or you don't look a certain way.
Don't look white, don't look foreign.
You know, you are not perfect. You are not fit. I know so many African country journalists who wear their nappy hair without earrings, and they're broadcasters.
Yes.
And it's acceptable.
That's what the funny thing is, that's what the Western world wants.
So let me share, I think I've said it before. I remember when the company was about 3 years old and we were interviewing somebody who's a very well-known person on Nigerian news. She was thinking of leaving her company. And one of the questions, I found it very interesting that we were wrapping up the interview. The question she asked me is, are female broadcasters mandated to wear wigs? And I said, no. It is in our style and presentation guide that we are African. We want to see African print. We want to see, we've done so many hairstyles. You're a woman and we know that women like to change and want to look good, but no, you don't have to wear wigs. And she told me afterwards, we met up somewhere, that was one of the very reasons she wanted to come to us. Because the mandate in her company was straight hair, straight wig. I also want to share, when I grew up abroad, and I remember being the dark-skinned girl. Aside from being the black girl, the African girl, oh my God, you people, you live in trees and all that one. Even among, so from Africa, there's always the debate, would I say debate? Yeah, the debates between African Americans and then Black Americans and that issue. And I remember being told, why are you talking white? And I'm thinking to myself, but it's correct English. Why are we talking about something being white? So this issue is not just a Nigerian issue. I think it's a black race issue. I think it's an African issue, and the layers are multidimensional. And Catherine made a point earlier. You can ask so many young people in Nigeria, and they can tell you the history of Europe and America, but they can't tell you the history of Ghana.
They don't know Queen Amina, but they know Queen Elizabeth.
They don't. Many of them no longer know who Kwame Nkrumah is.
They don't know Shakespeare. They don't know Tanzania, but no Shakespeare.
They don't know Julius Nyerere. They don't know these things anymore. So that's why I want to go back to Judith's question about the complicity of us as parents. And I also think that the other part of neocolonialism now is cartoons. I've heard Nigerian children who've never left this place sound as British as Peppa Pig.
Please do not call my niece's name.
They will never left the shores of this country, and their American and British accent is on point. So let's talk about cartoons. Yes, let's talk about cartoons and parents.
So one of the things is that a lot of parents believe that civilization is westernization. And civilization is not westernization. Speaking English is not a sign that you are civilized. Civilization started in Africa.
Yes.
Mathematics, astrology, so many subjects. The first libraries, they started in Africa, but there's an erasure. They make us believe that it was the woman that bought.
How can Mogopak, how can they say Mogopak found us, discovered us? Were we not existing before he came? He is the one that just walked into it.
Let me poke a hole in that argument, right? Because, sorry, I come from a background of education, right? So, trained to be a teacher, educationist.
Please come and teach, we need you.
And what we learned was that in teaching language and teaching your child to speak, they must observe you, right? And so what I noticed about my niece and what we saw during observance during our third year, which is of course your teaching practice here, was that when we were teaching language and we're teaching English language, because I studied English and literature, they would pronounce words in their mother tongue interference, right?
Yeah.
And that's because their first language was Efik or Ibibio or Anna, right? When you juxtapose that to in the city or city center metropolis, where you have parents who are leaving the speech development and the learning to cartoons, Paw Patrol, as well as what's it called? Coco Melon, as well as Miss Rachel. Their language, because again they're copying. It's going to be Miss Rachel. It's going to be different. So I don't necessarily think it's them. I think it's content. I don't think it's parents. The complacency here is parents are out there in the metropolis hustling. You all are parents here besides myself. So we know what it's like. 24/7, you're up and about on your phone, we're working. So the time that you need to engage your children and talk to them
is limited. Speech development.
So it's limiting the speech development that they are learning that from their tabs. And that's why a lot of parents are complaining about their children having speech delay.
Oh no, that's a whole
So that's a whole conversation.
Not good for your children.
Yeah. And when they're not pronouncing, their pronunciation sounds exactly like Paw Patrol or Peppa Pig.
But this is my issue. I hear you. She said something, mother tongue interference. Why should it be mother tongue interference? You speak the English with the mother tongue accent influence that it could be. So even that saying it's a mother tongue interference is making us make it sound like it's something wrong.
It's something wrong, In the same way we say English is stop speaking vernacular in class, when English itself is vernacular.
But is it a Nigerian thing? Because I have observed across Africa that Africans are not embarrassed by letting the inflection of their language come through. Kenyans will speak and you would hear their tonal, whatever,
Indians, Chinese, Russians.
Are you sure this is not like very heavy on Nigeria? Because I've observed, I see Nigerians are the one who who wants to copy and be better than those they are copying.
Yeah.
They want to be more
Yeah, spot on.
than the British people. So is it a Nigerian thing? And who did us that?
Yeah. Well, a lot of it is our colonial masters, and then Nigerians were very aggressive in everything that we do.
Yes.
We're very competitive in everything that we do. We want to, anything that we import, we do it like 10 times over and beyond. So obviously, if we import the languages as well, we would do it like 10 times as much. I want to talk about parents. I like that you mentioned parents and they're hustling and stuff like that. And this is where intentional parenting comes into play. Look at the knowledge that you've displayed in just a few minutes that I've spoken to you. Now, this is not to flatter you. This is to make you understand that because you know this and you know you're hustling, by the time you're going to start having your children, you will know that this is the time. I'm not going to go and have 7 children now. I don't have time. People keep having children they don't have time for. We can't be excusing these things. You don't have time to. It's not any God that does it. God has given us wisdom. So even if you use the Bible, if you don't, faith without works is void. You must leave room to cater for those children. So if you know that you want 3 children, 4 children, and you have a very, very fast-paced job, you're traveling all around, why would you do that? It is irresponsible. It's irresponsible. Let's call it what it is. Because if we don't call parents up and they keep having these children, do you know that there are some schools that house girls go for PTA?
Yes.
What kind of nonsense is that? Why are you having children for drivers, for clinical? The next thing you say sexual abuse.
Yes.
Stop excusing these parents. So you must make time to speak to your children. Bedtime stories are important. Telling them stories, hearing from the children. Listen.
You know that
reading
a lot of times I'm worried about us in Africa.
And you schooled abroad,
Because my parents if you want to say intentional, I told them earlier this way, I learned to speak Yoruba. My parents were intentional.
My daughter is 20 now. Her first word is Omi, and we're in the UK. Her first word, Omi.
Yes, look at our folk tale, the knowledge and the wisdom in that Ijapa and Yonibo story. They taught us a lot. They taught us patience, diligence, hard work in those stories that we told.
You can go to school, you will not see those books.
We have an African values. We have now exchanged that for westernization. You know that they see it as elitist. If your children don't speak your traditional language.
You want to speak, you want your child or your children to speak a certain way because you feel that opens door to a certain class in life.
I made them believe that because you can see other people not speaking it now. Have you spent time with a German?
They don't send you.
They don't send anybody.
It's on BBC every other day when there's a break, when in between classes. Now they go out to a family function and they hear this her child, who is my godson, is speaking with an accent. And do you know what other parents are asking my friend?
Which channel? What
Which school does he go that he's speaking with such accurate, 100% accuracy of British accent? And she was appalled because that is the only thing that was interested.
This is why some people's children have something called echolalia. And they don't know.
Yeah, which is the repeating, the resound, the repeat.
Sometimes your children, you won't even know that they have a special need.
Yeah, they have a special need.
They will be speaking that phone and they've not left the shores of Nigeria.
It's imitation.
But some of them, it's actually an issue. It's called echolalia. And parents don't even know out of ignorance, out of this desire to want to be speaking other languages.
No, they will kick us out of this.
Just a second. I'm sorry. Forgive me.
The time is gone.
I'm sorry.
This is
Forgive me.
wild
I have to say this, right? As we are wrapping things up, just a food for thought. We all from here were the fallout of either Festac 1997 or Pirates Festac 1997. And during that time was a boom of Pan-Africanism.
Where did that go?
And do you think that Pan-Africanism went hand in hand with media? Is media complicit in the content of African education and the content for African children? Why? Saturday morning, there were children who would wake up to watch content that was for children. Sunday evenings, there were content tailored for children in African language, in the text and folklore. And also 4 p.m. you'd wake up to cartoons, but even afterwards, we're still content tailored to children. Is the media complicit in the dwindling of Pan-Africanism and the content that is tailored to African children when it comes to African education? Food for thought, that's all. Sorry. That's it.
Do you want her to answer the question
I'm sorry.
Judith's we have questions, but let me tell you, we have derailed. Because when I heard the advocacy, I've been chasing her.
Coming back. No, this is not a conversation. I even want to get into this advocacy because we are losing something. I just found out that in my own household I have 4 children and only my daughter can speak Yoruba that you can understand. My son can hear you, but
But
he can't
reply. He struggles to reply.
I just told them this last holiday that when they come back for December, he's going to be
Just know that when you join, get ready for dragging.
It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, they drag me like, you know.
That you want to keep us in the
you want
dark.
to keep us-
Nedu invited me to his podcast. I spoke about this thing. Come and see.
Why? What are they dragging you for?
We are supposed to be posh now. Being posh is.
I told you that this even the name of your school is very
Come and figure it out.
But if you come there, you see my children speaking languages. You will see them. They will greet you. They will bend down and greet you.
They will tell you, speak in English. Listen, it's a thing. It's huge.
something.
She's coming back. I've been chasing her. We had to reschedule once or
Anytime
twice. But I found the advocacy on a place at the table so interesting. I'm so happy that we can see that there's a place for this conversation. It will happen. We were going to tie Dr. Adeniyi down to next week, and we'll continue this conversation because it's not enough. We can be global citizens without losing the essence of who we are. As my father and I think many parents have said, remember the child of who you are, but remember the child of the country from which you come. Let's think about this.
Anyway, thank you so much, Dr. Adeniyi, for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for this conversation that is causing us to think. The conversation today isn't just about nostalgia or cultural pride. It's about nation building and whether we will have a future led by children who know who they are before the world tells them who to be. Today's conversation reminds us that education is not just about what we learn, it's about who we become. Every book, every lesson, every story shapes a child's sense of self. And if we keep teaching our children that everything valuable lies outside of them, we shouldn't be surprised when they grow up feeling lost inside. We must raise children who know where they come from and who they carry and who carry that pride wherever they go. Because as Dr. Ronke Posh Adeniyi reminds us, a child rooted in identity cannot be easily uprooted by the winds of inferiority or the lures of colonization, old or new. Let's think about that. We'll see you tomorrow.